Welcome to Screen Riot. This week's movie is Miracle, a sports film from 2004. This episode will contain major spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, it's available to stream on Disney Plus or to rent or buy on all of the major streaming services. So go check it out and come back to the podcast because this is Screen Riot. Welcome back to another great episode of Screen Riot. I'm Justin, and I'm joined with co-hosts Eddie and John. Kyle can't be here today with us because he is out of town visiting his in-laws. May he rest in peace. But today we're looking at his sports film that he picked from 2004, Miracle. So when college coach Herb Brooks, played by Kurt Russell, is hired to helm the 1980 U.S. men's Olympic hockey team, he brings a unique and brash style to the ice. After assembling a team of hot-headed college all-stars who are humiliated in an early match, Brooks unites his squad against a common foe, the heavily favored Soviet team. As the U.S. squad tries to overcome insurmountable odds and win the gold medal, the team becomes a microcosm for American patriotism during the Cold War. And that is Miracle in a nutshell.
Yeah, that about sums it up pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree. Well, I was going to say, I mean, it's back whenever you could do a patriotic movie like this and do it well, and no one's going to be like, oh, I mean, really? Do you really think we're the best in the world? Is that what you think? Is it about the Russians? Like, they're not going to do that, you know. They didn't do that in 2004. Instead, we were like, Al-Qaeda, we're going after Osama bin Laden. So, yeah.
Well, the film is 2 hours and 15 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's rated PG, and it was directed by Gavin O'Connor.
Never heard of him.
What
Never
has
heard of
Gavin
him either.
O'Connor done?
So he's done a whole lot of TV movie stuff. But in 2004, Miracle was his first feature film.
No shit.
Okay.
Yeah.
He did a good job.
Yeah.
He
Yeah,
did.
for his first feature.
Yeah.
A lot of his other TV stuff. Oh, you know what? I didn't write him down, so I'm sorry about that. He did Warrior in 2011, that Tom Hardy boxing movie.
Okay, so that one's a mess. So I'm going to
Yeah.
blame that one on writing.
Yeah, not a fan of that movie.
It was okay. It was okay for Here Comes the Boom drama. It's not bad, but it was definitely kind of a mess. You couldn't tell who was actually the lead in that movie. It was all over the place.
Yeah, that's true.
It's a problem. You know,
Yeah.
Is it Tom Hardy? Is it the other guy with the smash face who doesn't look anything like Tom Hardy? Yet they're brothers. You don't know who it is. It's a little bit messy.
And he also did The Accountant in 2016.
Yeah, Ben Affleck is autistic.
Affleck,
He went too far though, man. He went full R word. It wasn't a bad movie, but it was a bit more of a shoot 'em up than what I would normally like.
Well, apparently The Accountant was good enough that he is in pre-production right now for an untitled Accountant sequel.
Accountant 2? Accountant 2?
The Accountant 2.
The Accountanter?
Yeah, The Accounting.
Oh, I know what it is. Accountants 2. It's tax season, bitch. Like that. That's what it's going to be called.
I just realized you were talking about The Accountant. My internet messed up. I kind of zoned out. I'll admit it.
It's our savory voices.
No, understand. I'm not saying it's a
I
bad.
liked it.
I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying it's Ben Affleck.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been Affleck in every movie.
Yeah, exactly. He managed to be Ben Affleck while playing an autistic
And then,
accountant who's also an assassin.
And then even in Good Will Hunting, he was Ben Affleck with a
horrible
Boston accent.
Yeah. Yeah. What you want to do about that? Yeah. You're like, where are you from?
Yeah.
Matt Damon did better, and that's saying a lot.
And then he was Batman.
Yes, he was.
Yeah,
Okay.
so Oscars for this movie. So it didn't get nominated for anything.
Okay. It's because it's Disney.
Yeah, I mean, it got nominated for other awards, other ceremonies and stuff. One of them that I thought was kind of funny. Kurt Russell was nominated for the Stinkers Bad Movie Awards. Yeah,
Really?
Yeah, for the worst fake accent.
Okay.
That was kind of
I could kind of when I first so I haven't seen this movie before, so this is the first time I saw it. When he first spoke, I was like, "Ooh, you're going with that choice."
Well, it's kind of a Wisconsin, don't you know? Like that kind of thing.
But I don't know if either.
Which, by the way, my accent would be way worse.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I don't know if the accent either grew on me or
You
I
just
just
stopped
accepted
noticing
it.
it. Yeah, you accepted
whatever.
it.
But then it was fine.
Well, because the whole movie's filled with guys with
With Boston
extreme
and-
accents
yeah.
of the North.
Yeah.
So I think you just get used to it.
So he was only nominated, so he did not win.
That's good.
The worst fake accent. That title goes to Richard Roxburgh in Van Helsing. He played Count Vladislaus Dracula.
It's Van Helsing.
Yeah, no.
It's a live action, really horrible CGI version of the Dracula story. I'm good.
I agree with you, however.
Oh no, you're gonna defend Van Helsing?
I'm not defending it.
No.
I'm just saying that it came out. What year did it come out?
2004.
04. Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, because the movie's Miracles 04. So back then, when I saw Van Helsing, I'm like, this is actually pretty good.
Oh no.
Now,
Have you watched it since?
I have not.
Oh.
I have not. So I might have to revisit that and just punish myself for liking it the first time.
That's a walk down memory lane. That's more like a trot down the lane that the werewolf was hanging out looking for Little Red Riding Hood. The werewolf, I should say. It's definitely not worth going back down that trail.
No?
You should just let it go. Yeah,
Really?
Van Helsing is not nowhere near a good movie. Watch Miracle a second time. Just do that. It was a much better movie than
it was a
Van
better
Helsing.
movie. Yes, I do agree.
Jesus. What else you got, Justin? Nothing else with that?
No, I mean that's all my opening intro stuff.
As far as the awards go?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about the movie itself. So, overall, I like this movie. I've seen this movie no less than 20 times. I mean, I've seen it a lot. I coached soccer for 12 years, and for 7 of those years, I was coaching high school, and I would have my boys and some of my girls watch this movie at least once during the season because it's spoilers. The basic system that Herb Brooks went with was a completely team-based system. Like essentially,
individual talent doesn't win the game.
Working as a team does. Yeah. And that's how I coach soccer. Like I could give a shit less for the all-stars on the field. I mean, I did not care. I was more worried about did the individual all-stars, quote unquote, hog the ball, or did they, pass whenever they were, covered by 2 or 3 other players from the opposing team. If they were going to sit there and hog the ball, I'd kick her. You're going on the bench. I don't give a shit how good you are. You just lost the ball because 3 guys got on you, and instead of passing the ball, because your ego got in the way. So instead of passing the ball, you lost the ball to the other team. So get your ass on the bench. That's Herb Brooks's mentality as well, and I appreciate that for to a large extent. So I
did like that aspect of it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would have the soccer kids watch it as a both as a hey, this is why we play as a team, but then also the movie's just super inspirational. And what kills me about it, because you threw out a dirty word in my book from season 2, Hidden Figures.
Oh.
Yeah. So this movie is very close to the correct history of what took place in that time. There's a couple of discrepancies. We'll go into those in a few minutes.
Yeah.
But for the most part, this movie does basically outline what took place, right? Which is awesome. I just think that's great. The story itself is very inspirational. You apparently didn't know what happened in the 1980 Olympics with the hockey team. Is that right?
I mean, I knew they won. I knew they beat the Russians, and the Russians were like super good. And
I didn't know at all.
You didn't know.
I am not a hockey fan.
Gotcha. So you're one of those who like went to Titanic and went, the movie wasn't good. The fucking boat sank at the end.
No.
When's the sequel
as far
coming
as
out?
this movie goes.
As far as this movie goes. But I mean, I kind of figured that we would have won because we don't.
Why make this story?
Exactly.
Hold on. Don't assume. Look at Cool Runnings.
Yeah.
You watch Cool Runnings, you're like, it's the Jamaican bobsled team. Some people. Anyway. And the whole time you're like, well, of course they won. No, they didn't. They landed on their heads and skidded along the ice for half a mile. Almost died. Like, that's how that movie ended. But it was inspirational still because they overcame adversity.
Absolutely.
Right? So with this movie, though, the movie is very, very close to the original story. And I just appreciate that. I appreciate that they took, again, the real story and they did a good job with it. I just appreciate that.
Yeah. During my research, I was talking about the accuracies of it.
Yes. Or inaccuracies.
The inaccuracies.
Yeah.
Sorry. They screened the movie for the former players of the team in 2004. And somebody asked them, how accurate is it and all that. And they said, it's pretty accurate. But the one jarring thing for them was how friendly Herb was made in the movie. So a lot of the players said he was not that friendly. Like he didn't come to, holiday
parties and stuff.
Or give him cute little nicknames or anything like that. He said like they didn't like him, but they respected him.
Which is funny because I thought he was made to look like a dick in the movie. Like when I watched the movie, I'm like, he's so dry. He's so like,
Well, he was at the beginning, but it was one of those like it was like a character arc thing.
Oh, okay.
It's like I'm a hard ass, but I'm also like your dad because we're a family, and then I'm gonna be a hard ass again when you're back on the ice.
But what I love is that Disney had to take that and they're like, okay, we got to soften this up a little bit, and they softened it, but they softened it up to a guy who's still a jerk. Like he's still kind of a jerk in the movie, and the players were like, not enough.
Well, this director tried because the first scene that was shot with Kurt Russell was the scene outside of the bus where he the 4 or 5 players have to talk to him about the guy that he's bringing on, where he's manipulating the players basically. Yeah. That's the first scene that the director wanted to shoot with any interaction with Kurt Russell and the players, because these weren't actors. The kids weren't actors. They were all hockey players who were chosen for their hockey skills because it'd be easier to film with them and all. And then acting came secondary, kind of, to the director.
Which I thought the actors did an okay job.
I thought it was fun, yeah. But he wanted those kids, who Kurt Russell's a huge star at this point, right? He wanted that first interaction for the kids to be like really timid towards Kurt Russell, so that's why that was the first scene, because it's a pivotal scene where
they're like begging basically. Yeah, we're a family. Yeah, one of those things.
Yeah,
which by the way,
that was kind of interesting.
That must have happened because that in the little bit of research I did because I found 3 main things that were inaccurate in the movie, and I'll say those in like 2 seconds. But that scene was not one of them. So from what I understand, that like we're a family, that must have taken place, which is pretty crazy.
I didn't see anything about it.
Yeah. So the 3 inaccuracies I found, one of them is the who do you play for? USA. So the ice punishment that took place.
Right.
The punishment after the game, them watching the girls in the stands.
You know what the players called that?
No.
The Herbies.
Really? I caught the Herbies.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
That little skate drill.
Oh, okay, the Herbies.
The Herbies.
Yeah. So, that apparently did take place, but according to O'Callaghan, the real O'Callaghan, he said that it didn't stop based on any one thing. He said that basically Herb just got tired of punishing them. He's like, we were there past midnight. I mean, we just kept going and going. We were there for hours, and I think the guy just got tired of hurting us and was just like, go dress out. And it's like, that was it. Like they were done at that point.
Yeah. See, what's interesting is
you found something else.
I found out something else about that. What I read was that
McClanahan.
McClanahan. After hours and hours of doing the Herbies, that he got so pissed off of having to do them that he took his stick and smashed it up against the glass and broke one of the panes, and then that kind of made Herb go, okay, I've pushed him far enough, kind of thing.
That's far enough.
So I'm curious to know which one is true.
Well, I almost wonder if maybe McClanahan heard it. I'm more inclined to believe McClanahan's story is possibly true over O'Callaghan's story, because O'Callaghan's story kind of sounds like he didn't want to talk shit about anybody. Like if McClanahan's the one who did it and nobody has put that out, you don't want to be the guy who's going to out McClanahan as being like the douchebag who breaks glass just because he's upset.
Yeah, because we don't know the rest of the story. Maybe they go, oh shit, we can't pay for this, and they all leave.
Snuck out of the building. Yeah, exactly. So O'Callaghan may have just been hiding it.
There's one thing I wanted to go back to before you go on,
sure.
Eddie, is Kurt Russell also referred to the actors as Team USA.
Oh, okay.
Like he didn't like whenever he talked about it, he'd be like Team USA.
Oh, so he went like full method.
Yeah, he went full method. Like he was talking. He even didn't. He used the real player names from the 80s. Like
all the time.
Their actor names. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not their real names.
So he's like calling the guy who played Eruzione. He's calling him Rizzo off the ice. Wow, that's funny. Yeah. So the second thing I found was the fight at the beginning between O'Callaghan and McClanahan.
Yes.
Did not take place. Now the reason why it didn't take place is that O'Callaghan. I might screw this up, but I believe O'Callaghan was actually in high school when McClanahan was in college. Now, the story of why O'Callaghan and McClanahan fought is true. McClanahan was in this NCAA match, game, and they ended up fighting. His team ended up fighting this other team, and one of the players either got hurt or got kicked out or something, and then his team won. And the big controversy is, well, they wouldn't have won if the fight had broken out. So they made the fight break out to take that player out so they could then win. So there was a lot of tension on the ice around McClanahan because of this shit that happened in college. McClanahan, though, was in high school, so he wasn't involved in that. So why they chose him specifically for this movie to be the fight, I don't know. I think it came down to looks. I think they were like, you are far too good looking, sir. You're going right to the front of the line in this movie. There was another thing, too, about go ahead.
Before we, since we're talking about the bar scene.
Yes.
When I believe it was O'Callahan, and he says to Jack Craig, the goaltender.
Yeah.
Jack Craig comes into the bar, and O'Callahan says something like, "What's up, you Sieve?"
Civ.
Yeah.
Civ. That's not at the bar. That's actually in the hallway, walking up right after O'Callahan has checked in at the beginning.
Okay, I thought it was in the bar.
It's not that I've seen it 60 times or anything.
Yeah. I had no idea what that term was.
A sieve, yeah. So you know what a sieve is, right?
Yeah. I'm gonna think that people can score on him.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes. Basically a shitty goaltender.
Yeah. So talking about a sieve, just like you can sift things through a strainer, John, like what you're saying, then the pucks can go past him because he's full of holes. He has holes in his game. Yeah, that's the idea.
Sense. I just never heard of that term. I'm not a huge hockey watcher, but you don't watch hockey at all. So
I do. I watch hockey. I like hockey. Hockey and soccer are like the two sports I really like.
I like watching like the end of the playoffs kind of thing, but that's it.
I like watching hockey in person. I don't like watching it on TV.
Hockey almost any sport though, except baseball, is really awesome in person.
I'm leaving.
Well,
goodbye. The only movies I'm gonna pick from now on. Are going to be baseball movies.
Here's what's funny: on my sports film list, 4 of the movies are baseball movies.
And I thank you for it.
Because baseball movies, much like a lot of sport movies, like I don't like golf at all. Golf is far worse than baseball.
But you love Bagger Vance, don't you?
Legend of Bagger Vance is not bad, but I was thinking the greatest game ever played was Shia LaBeouf.
Oh, okay.
That's another, and it's a Disney movie as well.
I'm not a Shia LaBeouf fan.
That's a good one, though. It is.
So you're about to mention the last inaccuracy that
I'm trying to think of what it was. Oh, well, one big one, too. Callahan apparently had his teeth. He was missing his 2 front teeth in most of during this game, during this preparation and actual Olympics. He was missing his 2 front teeth. There were little things like who scored what goals and what the scores were and stuff. Okay. But I mean, for the most part, it was fairly accurate. I mean, there really wasn't a lot that was way out. There was some funny continuity errors that the movie did, though. Like they're walking through Olympic Village. It's him and the guy from the IOC, or not IOC. It's from American Hockey. U.S. Hockey, whatever. The Italian guys walk past them on the sidewalk
with their Letterman jackets,
with their like jackets on that say Italy on the back. Well, the thing is that if they're from Italy, they wouldn't say Italy on the back. That's Italy in English. It would say Italia. So just little shit like that's happening through it. Did you happen to kind of jump in here? But did you guys happen to look up pictures of the Russian team from the 1980 hockey team?
No.
So they're not in the right positions. Let me be clear on that. But they found actors that looked remarkably like the Russian team. I mean, really? Incredibly so. Like Tretiak, the guy who plays the goalkeeper, looks like one of the defensemen on the Soviet teams. Like, could be his doppelganger. Like, he looks incredibly like that guy. Mikhailov, who the main baddie, the one who's the
captain.
Yeah, right. He looks like one of the I believe defensemen also from the team. But in this movie, I think he plays a forward. I think he plays a forward in this movie. So, I mean, that... Just the way that they put them together, the coach doesn't look anything. I
was about to ask, does the coach?
Yeah, the coach.
He kind of looked like the devil with them winged eyebrows.
The eyebrows are really what throws him because I think that takes him the most away from looking like the coach from the actual team, from the 1980 team. But other than that, I mean, I just thought the way they made the Russians look was pretty cool, was pretty accurate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One thing I was wondering while I was watching it was whether they took Al Michaels' audio from the actual event, and just used it, like cleaned it up and used it. But they actually had Al Michaels come in and actually recreate all of his commentary, except for the final.
Do you believe in miracles?
Yeah, except for that because I guess the director didn't think that Michaels would be able to pull off the excitement of that particular moment in time, so they just used that at the end, instead of cleaning up the whole audio and piecemeal it together.
Yeah. I mean, to be clear, the movie has faults. It's got flaws. I mean, it's got some stuff.
Well, I wouldn't say that's a fault. I mean,
no. I'm not saying that.
No. I was complimenting.
Yeah,
them. I mean, it would have been super impressive if they would have filmed the video based on
what he said.
Yeah. Based, like that. But no, I mean, I don't think it takes away from the film at all.
Well, no, I don't want to say that it does. I'm just saying, like, it sounds like we're going to kiss this movie's ass the whole time, and I want to be clear. It's not a perfect movie, but it does a really good job with what it has.
I will not be kissing the movie's ass, no.
Oh, come on.
No, I will not. I mean, it's not a horrible film.
Yeah.
But as a film,
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, the story's awesome.
Yep.
I love the story. I think
filmmaking's cool.
I think it is. It's okay.
I think they made really good choices with stuff.
Well, I mean, they made a film.
Okay.
I mean, it's not. It doesn't wow me. Like, it's not going to win any editing awards or anything like
true.
that.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, the soundtrack didn't wow me. Nothing really wowed me. It was a straightforward film,
retelling of a story. Yeah.
Exactly,
yeah.
and I think they did a good job at it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it wasn't this masterpiece.
Fair enough.
I mean, they basically recreated the entire game for the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
because it's almost exactly like 31 minutes long.
Yeah, I mean, it's a large chunk of the movie is spent on that.
No, I thought there were a lot of cool shots. There was one that I actually had to pause and rewind because I wanted to see it again. Mm-hmm. It's I have no idea how they did it unless they digitally imposed the puck, but there's a shot on goal. One of the Soviets slaps it, and then right in front of the it's coming right towards the camera, and then the goalie puts his hand right in front of the camera and catches it. Yeah. It has to be a digital puck to most likely pull that off. But I thought that was a really cool thing because they use that, and there's like a really cool natural transition in it, and I'm trying to rack my brain to remember exactly what happens in it that I thought was really neat that I rewound to watch again. And I couldn't tell you where in the time code it was either, but thought it was really cool.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, there's a few things that are like that, though, that, I mean, to me anyway, like there's little shots they did like inside the goal, they do on the ice. The action shots on the ice, the camera has a lot of movement to it to where it doesn't feel like a static just watching someone skate down the ice, which is boring as shit, by the way.
Yeah, you definitely feel like you're on the ice with the players.
Yeah, and you're in the game, even when they do the shot from up in the stands.
Not like watching baseball.
You're right. Good Lord. You could be on the field next to the person and be like, wow, is this really all you guys do?
Yeah.
Jesus
Fall asleep just standing there.
This is like just getting a tan. Just getting a suntan right now.
Since we're talking about inaccuracies.
I was going to say baseball. Go ahead.
No, there's another thing that I was wondering that same thing too, John, about did they bring Al Michaels in or did they take all of his audio stuff in? I was also wondering about towards the very beginning of the Soviet game, there's a slashing that happens.
Yes.
And it doesn't get called by the refs, and the crowd goes wild, right? So that didn't really quite happen, but it sort of did.
Okay.
Apparently the Soviet guy didn't slash. He did what's called a stick check.
Okay.
Which is actually permitted. So there was no.
So what's a stick check? Remind me. Is that where you?
That's where you can interfere with the other player's
body?
Stick.
Body or stick?
Stick.
Okay.
Like you can take your stick, hit the other player's stick.
Okay, so a full check is like you can check them into the wall, like you actually with your body
that's
to body.
Yeah, that's a
but
body
a stick check, you can mess with their stick.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I thought that. Okay. Interesting.
Huh. There was an interesting thing that I came across about the World Trade Center.
Okay.
This was the first digital recreation of the Twin Towers.
Oh yeah, because of 2004.
Since 9/11.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's pretty nuts. There's some, I don't know. There's a few things that I like that they put in the movie too, like the gas shortage thing. I think they recreated the world that people were living in really well.
You're right about that.
You know what I mean?
I totally forgot about there was that gas shortage in the late 70s.
Yeah, and there was the stuff with Iran.
Yeah.
The plaque that they give, Herb, they give him a plaque that says Ayatollah on it.
No, yeah,
like
as
right. As like he's in it like an asshole, but that's bringing in the
current events,
the whole thing with Iran at the time. So I mean, I like that they were able to build out this world from a simple hockey game and a movie that could have just been about a hockey game. We get this whole world that sort of tells us like, okay, this is it's a different time. They lead into it with the newspaper clippings and the video clippings at the beginning and all that stuff, but they really do build out a whole movie, much like they did in Hidden Figures. I mean, I don't like Hidden Figures because they fucked with the history too much. It's just what it is.
Right.
But they did a good job of building the world out in that movie. I do think that too.
Yeah, in this one, in Miracle, they didn't go too crazy with the visual building of the world.
Yeah.
Other than Herb's suits. That was about the
that was awesome.
And some of the mustaches were.
Those are accurate,
wow.
by the way.
Oh, I'm sure they are.
There's a few pictures with Herb Brooks in some wild blazers. Like you're like, wow, what old '70s couch did they skin to give you a new jacket? Like, good lord, thing looks itchy as hell. Just from here, it looks itchy.
But they did it mainly in the background, which is pretty classy.
Yeah, I agree.
I wasn't a fan of the intro.
Oh, you didn't like it?
I mean, no, I didn't say I didn't like it. I wasn't. Well, I guess I said I wasn't a fan. I meant.
Well, you weren't cheering it on.
That is what that means. Yes.
It's like, I'm a fan of the Nationals, but if they're playing like crap, they're playing like crap.
No, I mean it went on a little long to me.
It did go on long. I'll give you that. And
it seems like we saw, you know, I guess the whole purpose of it was we saw the whole American evolution, but you know the big hits of a few decades.
Well, there was a reason for it too, though.
Right?
Like, I mean, because the late '70s in particular, I mean, I think most people would agree, Jimmy Carter's reign as president was a shitstorm of just the worst possible things happening. Right?
Pretty inspirational speech, though.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm not completely crapping on the guy. I'm just saying, for 4 years.
Well, yeah, it wasn't good.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Right? So you go from like the highs and lows of the previous 15 years, and then they go into, and here's where we are in 1979, 1980, right? Yeah. Like, just, wow. How much worse could this possibly go? Oh, good. We get to play in the Winter Olympics against the team that has won for the last 20 years. Yay. You know what I mean? So I can imagine that whole feeling. I mean, to me, that's what I like about the movie too, though, is even if you didn't know anything about history, you can watch this and go, it was really kind of a crappy time. Okay, this kind of sucks. Oh, that's why it's so inspirational for millions of people who watch the Olympics, because they were in such a shitty valley of time, the timeline just in general was in this valley for Americans, that this one game, really, this one Olympics, that was happening, this team to win like this lifted people up pretty high, because it was something,
Well, remember his wife has that comment, this isn't just a game for some people, or whatever the line is.
This is the only light they have, or something. Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it made a difference. It made a difference for a lot of people. And I'm sorry, but what's the guy's name again? The telecaster?
Al Michaels.
Al Michaels, him screaming, do you believe in miracle? I mean, I can feel when I hear that piece of audio, I'm like, that guy had nothing going on in his, like, divorce just happened. His kids now he's got to pay $9 for a gallon of gas, and goddamn anything.
You realize he's a sportscaster, right?
I don't care.
He has to be.
No, but he was. I mean,
he
was super excited.
He was super excited.
Yeah, I like.
Which, I mean, think about it. If you're in the Cold War, and you're the Cold War against the Russians, right, and then you're battling out on the ice.
Well, not just that, but they've kicked your ass the previous three.
So yeah, I totally get it.
3 Olympics.
Totally get it.
Oh, speaking of that, so there was something that the filmmakers did that I thought was really cool. Speaking of progression, right? Mm-hmm. So towards the beginning of the film, we see I think it was what's his name?
Mikhailov?
No,
Mikhailov, whatever.
No, the U.S. guy, McClanahan. We see him wrapping his stick in tape, and he's doing it kind of slow and kind of like he's having to think about it methodically and all. And then a little bit later, the first time, the warm-up game against the Soviets, when he does the face-off against the captain.
Fear.
Yeah. Like, they have this stare-off, and McClanahan, he looks away first, right? He loses to the stare-off kind of thing.
Johnson was the one who loses it first.
Okay, so it's Johnson then.
Yeah.
But then towards the end, right before the Soviet game, we see him wrapping his stick again, but this time he's doing it like faster, like more confident about it. And then when they go back to that face-off, it's the same situation, but this time he initiates a stare-off, and then the captain of the Soviet team is the first person to look away, kind of thing.
The scene you're talking about where he's coming up on Mikhailov and his eyes are all like pegged, like just wide open, like it looks like he's been snorting cocaine for 4 days.
Yeah.
The whole team has that stare, and there's two things about it. One, I'm like, this is intense. Like, you can feel the intensity. But two, they look exhausted. Like, they all have like red lines coming out of their eye, like out of the corners of their eyelids, out of corners of their eyes, whatever. And they just all look very tired. It's the intensity doesn't fail because of that, but the more I watch it, the more I'm like, whew, they look like they've been playing hockey sun up to sundown for months. Like, they look so tired.
Well, the filming of the Herbies scene.
Yes.
Apparently, according to the actor who played O'Callaghan.
O'Callaghan, okay.
Yeah. They filmed that 12 hours a day for 3 days straight.
Jesus.
Could you imagine?
No, I couldn't. That's exhausting.
And the whole reason the director did that was almost very Herb-like. Because when the part where they're all kind of breaking down, like, towards the end of the scene, he wanted...
Michael Eruzione.
Yeah.
Boston, Massachusetts. Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted, like, realistic... Remember, these aren't actors.
Yeah.
He wanted realistic, we are frustrated.
Yeah.
We're tired.
You sure this guy didn't go on to direct The Revenant, by the way? Like, Jesus.
No, he did not. The Accountant.
Ow.
The best financial movie ever.
So, oh man,
one of the players. Did you guys see that one of the actors actually played his father?
Yes.
Oh
yeah.
no,
I thought that was pretty.
Was that Craig? Was that
what's his name? Jack Craig and his father. Yeah,
that makes sense. Oh, one last thing. Sorry, John. Going back to the thing you're talking about, how the movie ramped up. They did that through the whole thing. Their montages, like where they're leaning up against the wall, and they're struggling. Their thighs are burning. Their quads are burning, etc. Just leaning up against the wall, and then they go forward. I don't know, maybe 25 minutes, and then they're able to hand like the 45-pound weight across all of them as they lean up against the wall, and it's no big deal. You know what I mean? They did that throughout the whole thing, as it saw the boys building their intensity, their confidence in themselves, etc. as they built their skills. Again, I like the idea that you put in hard work, you get something out of it. I like that. That's one of the things that this movie puts out in spades. It's the idea that if you dedicate yourself to an ideal, you can reach that ideal. I like that. I just think that's a strong message to send. It's much better than whatever nonsense is being spewed out in 2021 with movies now. Just you can be whatever you want. Great land. Like, it's not like that. That's all I can say. If you don't know Great Land, by the way, you should find that. It's a nightmare.
Well, there's another thing I found interesting, but this I didn't know, was at the end, it does that little, in dedication to Herb. I didn't know that he passed away right after principal photography. Apparently it was a car crash, a car accident. And his wife plays an extra.
Oh, does
in the stands.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she's to the left of the guy who plays Jack Craig's father.
Okay. Who's actually Jack Craig, apparently?
Yeah, well, yeah, his father. Yeah.
Yeah.
They didn't even realize that they were related until after they hired both of the actors.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
I don't know how you make the connection because they both have the same last name. But.
Yeah, right.
But also, well, I guess speaking of extras, another thing I saw was that apparently Kurt Russell took a paycheck cut.
Oh, no way.
A pay cut.
Yeah. To be in the movie?
No, to all the extras, there's about 1,000. And they were going to be there for a few days, and apparently he learned that they were going to be given like a brown bagged lunch kind of thing.
Jesus.
So he was like, nah, screw that. Let's get them like a meal. So he took a pay cut of whatever it was going to cost to get all these 1,000 people.
That's why he's Santa Claus. That's all I'm going to say. That's why he's Santa Claus.
Yeah. Think about what the 1,000 people, couple days.
It's definitely not cheap.
No, definitely not cheap.
I mean, I'd be ordering Sonny's all you can eat. I mean, I'd be like, listen, I got a lot of people. There's at least a couple big guys. It's all you can eat, guys. Come on, we're doing this.
Good guy, Kurt Russell.
Good guy, Kurt Russell. Yes, that's true.
He's probably one of my favorite actors.
He's up there.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
I'm. The thing is, though, I can't point to anything he's done and go, proud of you, Kurt Russell. This is probably the closest I can come.
Oh, he has some like iconic characters.
Escape from New York.
Yeah, like Snake Plissken.
No,
and
understand. I'm not saying those characters aren't iconic, but when I think of like great movies, I don't go Escape from New York or Escape from L.A. I don't go Surgeon General of Los Angeles. No shit, yeah. Or Overboard with Goldie Hawn, or
Captain Ron,
or yeah, exactly, Captain Ron, or. What is it? Tango and Cash. I mean, with Sylvester Stallone, where they where they're cops who get sent to jail, and he's got the most ridiculous gun in the world.
Here we go. Best example. Big Trouble in Little China. What's his name?
No, that's Jack Burton is probably very, very close to being another iconic character. But again, when I think about amazing movies, I don't think. I mean, name something Kurt Russell's been in that you're like, you know what? That whole, not just Kurt Russell as an actor, but the whole movie is great.
Backdraft.
Well,
Backdraft is really good. That's a
Big Trouble in Little China is a great movie.
It's a good movie, but it's not.
Tombstone.
Tombstone
Is good. Okay, Tombstone's good. And understand, I like Big Trouble in Little China a lot. Okay, it's one of my favorite movies, but not as a critic, as an audience member, just who enjoys funny movies where 6 foot tall, 7 foot tall Chinese demons become little old men in wheelchairs and play with people's nuts. What was I going to say though? Oh, and Soldier from the 1990s. He's just not. For some reason, he chooses really bad roles. Is my point. Tombstone, I'm with you. Okay, as Wyatt Earp, he does a good job there, and he does a good job as Herb Brooks in this movie. That's my point. Like when it comes to Kurt Russell being a good actor, I agree. He
has a range.
I think he's a pretty far range too. I mean,
yeah,
Jesus
that's
Christ,
what I mean.
He's Santa Claus, and he pulls it off. He's my favorite Santa Claus.
Oh my gosh, my wife went crazy when she was like Kurt Russell as Santa. She's like, ho ho ho. She was ready to jump through the TV.
See, I was a little different.
Wait, did you just say she turned into a ho?
No. I didn't say that.
She turned into a ho ho ho.
Honey, whoa. I did not say that.
Jesus.
I misheard you.
No, I said she was excited.
But see, here's the thing. Like, when I saw Kurt Russell as Santa Claus, I was like, oh, that might be cool. But in my mind, it was like when Donald Trump ran for president, a lot of people were like, I mean, really? Like, come on, that can't be real, right? But he did. True. But in both instances, he did a good job. What are you going to do?
Snake Plissken is Santa.
Snake Plissken is Santa. Exactly. Yeah. That's how nutty. It's 2020, y'all.
Call me Santa.
And that's what you could describe Miracle as.
Oh, yeah?
Snake Plissken meets Santa. That's Herb.
Jesus.
So, let's figure out...
He gives punishment.
That's true.
Again and again and again.
Let's figure out
everybody just gets a lump of coal. So the budget of this movie is an estimated $28 million.
That's actually really low. I thought it would be a lot higher than that.
No, really?
Yeah. I mean, granted, most of it's shot inside of a ice hockey rink, but at the same time, I mean, they go to a bunch of different rinks. It's not just one. The travel alone had to be expensive. I'll bet they saved a lot of money on the hockey players who weren't real actors.
Probably.
I'll bet they saved a shit ton there. Yeah.
I know it was all shot in like 3 or 4 cities in Canada, and Vancouver and somewhere else.
Somewhere cold.
Yeah.
With ice.
So they basically shot it all in the same area, kind of thing. They didn't have to move around too much. But do you guys think that it made its money back?
Hell yes. In spades.
I'm going to say yes, but I will not be as enthusiastic as
I'm gonna say they made $80 million off that movie.
Yeah. It's $64,450,000.
I was close.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Not a bad haul.
Yeah.
Not for a hockey movie in 2004.
Little feel good Disney movie. Yeah, a little more than double. So yeah. So Rotten Tomatoes, they also give this pretty high scores.
Oh really?
Yeah. So the audience gives Miracle 90%.
Yeah,
wow.
Pretty high score.
That's really high.
Yeah, and the critics give it an 81. So not quite as high. I actually thought it was going to be a little flip-flopped.
See, I don't. But here's the thing. I think it's John's take on this movie, and I'm not trying to put a score in your mouth, so don't take it that way. But I think critics probably went, nothing special. I mean, yeah, it was good. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't. I think audiences. I mean, if you allow yourself to get wrapped up in it and you realize that it's not a fake story, it's a real story, you start to cheer for them and you're like, fuck yeah, I get to relive the 1980 Olympics all over again. Smash them commies. Like, it's just a whole nother, level if you get there. You know what I mean?
Gave me the, it did give me the feeling at watching the game the same type of feeling I felt at the end of Varsity Blues.
Yes.
You know, it was that heightened sense of right.
There goes my yes, exactly.
Yeah,
there goes my hero. It's a Foo Fighters moment. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess let's go ahead and. Oh my gosh!
Sorry.
You know what's funny? Are you doing that, or the visual of you playing the drums?
It's all awful.
Hilarious.
It's so terrible. Bad. I'm not a drummer. Sorry.
No,
definitely not.
Not even an air drummer.
I play one on podcasts. That are audio podcasts that you can't see me trying.
You can be one in the Bill and Ted band.
There you go. Caveman.
Station. Anyway.
So let's go ahead and rate this. So like I said, Kyle is not here to defend his movie, but he did send me over some comments about it and his score, so I do have that.
Okay.
So basically what Kyle said is he really liked the movie. Kurt Russell's accent was kind of funny. The hockey scenes were really well done and shot well. The movie had a great pace. I agree. I think it did. It moved along pretty well.
I didn't get tired ever.
Yeah. And I didn't feel like a 2.5 hour movie. And he rates it an 8.8.
Bringing them scores up. Okay, John.
Yeah, so John, what do you rate Miracle?
Well, Roger Ebert. Well, speaking of critics, 2 stars.
2 out of 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he gave it a 50.
Yeah.
Right. As I said before, the story is great, and I think it's told on screen beautifully. Kurt Russell did an admirable job. Besides for the accent, I did not find the accent funny. But I do think he portrayed Herb, he's possibly the most unsung hero of the Cold War. I mean, to be quite honest, I mean, I've never heard of him, and I mean, not saying that my knowledge of the Cold War, is extensive, but I mean,
as an American historian, John once said,
yeah, right. So, but I mean, all my points are basically from his acting and from the story itself. Not necessarily the filmmaking. It really didn't wow me. But I'm going to give this. I'm going to give it a 6.5.
Okay, so John gives it a 6.5. Yeah, I kind of hear you. I see what you're saying. I really liked Kurt Russell in this. His accent was a little weird, off-putting, like I said earlier. Some of the shots were cool that I was talking about. The story was pretty. It was like an inspirational thing. It wasn't very cliched either, from what I can remember.
Yeah.
Like for instance, when he brings in what's his name, John Cox or Joey Cox or something, Coxie. His nickname was Coxie.
Yeah.
He brought him in to cut him.
Yeah.
My initial thought was that he was going to kind of figure out how to bend the rules where he can keep him on and not have to actually cut him from the team.
Yeah.
But that didn't end up happening.
No, instead he ut his ass like a cold bastard that he was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. Kurt Russell made it seem like Herb started to cry, and if that phone hadn't rang, we might have seen some big old puppy dog tears.
Yeah.
That was Kurt Russell, not the Herb Brooks that we know.
Kurt Russell just slammed his finger in the drawer or something.
Oh, speaking of Kurt Russell's fingers,
Jesus.
Actually, Kurt Russell, he did everything left-handed in this movie, even though Kurt Russell's right-handed.
Jesus, he went full method
with
this.
Yeah, it's because Herb is left-handed.
Wow.
Just thought that was interesting. So anyway, I think I'm gonna give this. Yeah, I enjoyed it. The pace was good. Typically, pace is a big thing with me.
Would you watch it again?
Yeah. See, not immediately. Maybe in a year. Something like that. Okay. I could see myself maybe watching it again. And
the thing is, I mean, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but again, from watching you describe this, I don't think you would hate rewatching it either. I think you'd be like,
probably. I
kind of like this.
I'd probably watch it with a new set of eyes, if that makes sense. I would probably be paying attention to more things.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give this. I don't typically do decimals in my scores, but I'm gonna give it a 7.9.
Okay.
Nice.
So I must be the only person in the world who wasn't bothered by Kurt Russell's accent, it just doesn't bother me. I don't care enough about it. I look at most of the accents that people put on as funny whenever they're not from that place. You know, Ben Affleck doing Boston, you know, or Matt Damon doing whatever the hell he was doing in Good Will Hunting, or any number of other very, very weird accents that are out there. So his didn't bother me any more than anybody else's. I do think that this movie is inspirational, not in a annoying way. You know what I would equate it to?
That's what I was trying to say with it wasn't cliched. It wasn't like an annoying, inspirational, you knew what was happening. I mean, it's obviously it's history, but...
Well, have you ever seen the movie Without Limits?
No.
It's about the runner, Steve Prefontaine.
No.
Right? Donald Sutherland plays his coach. What's his name from Almost Famous? Plays the runner. Anyway, he was actually in The Watchmen. He was the big blue Millennium guy with his junk out the whole movie. He plays the runner. It's an inspirational movie that, again, you're like, it's inspirational, but damn, they went through a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know if I want to rise to that level, because you have to go through a bunch of crap, you know, like you have to do Herbies all night and everything else. So I like films that, again, kind of play with what you're watching. This, to me, is one of the better Disney inspirational films. Like, I would put this up against Cool Runnings any day and pick this. You know, Cool Runnings is a funny movie, but it doesn't inspire me the way that movie does, the way that Miracle does. All that to say that for me, this movie is an 8. It's a solid, you know, like you said, inspirational film. It's something that when you watch it, if you watch it and you've never heard of what took place in the 1980 hockey Olympic team, you're getting a really good understanding of what that is in an entertaining way. You know what I mean? And it's technically very sound. I didn't see a whole lot of shit. Like, there's no boom mics just out of nowhere. There
are some continuity errors, though.
Continuity errors?
Yep.
When? I didn't see any.
The biggest one to me was when the montage was happening when he was cutting people.
Yeah.
The list had, like, the first time you see the list and he crosses out a name, there was like 5 names crossed out or whatever. The second time you see the list in that montage, it has like 2 names.
Oh, okay.
So that kind of threw me out a little bit, but that was the main one.
Oh, okay. I do know they reused 3 shots from the ice. They reused 3 shots in the movie that I've noticed since watching it all these freaking times.
I was going to say I didn't notice.
I didn't either.
You have to look really close. And it's mostly with the goalie. There's a couple shots with the goalie where he like flails out in this really specific way, and they'd use that same shot twice, and then there's another one where somebody's making a shot, and you're like, that's perfect form, or this shot's been used before, and it's just reusing a shot.
So before I say the score, since you mentioned the goalie, I actually kind of want to mention this earlier, but I forgot to. So I mentioned that all of the boys were actual hockey players, right? That's why they were picked.
Except the goalie.
Yeah. He was not a hockey player. He was actually an actor. So he was actually picked for his acting, I guess. I don't know why they hired him. Yeah. But so since he wasn't actually a hockey player, he was just used for the principal photography of the close-ups and stuff of him.
Okay.
But it was a stunt double that was playing the actual goalie.
Okay.
And the stunt double was actually Bill Ranford, who was the former goalie for the Edmonton Oilers.
Okay.
A hockey team.
Interesting.
Yeah, thought that was kind of interesting. So, so what does Miracle from 2004 score? It is a 7.8.
Okay.
It's good. It's a good score.
Yeah, it is. Well, way to go, Kyle.
Yeah, it was a good movie.
Good job.
I like it.
My score does not reflect you doing a good job, but you did a good job.
And it was before 1950, so...
Hey,
you know what? That's a plus.
After 1950, you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the... You know what I meant.
I just rode that wave.
Yeah. Herbies for you.
The Herbie.
Again.
I do that just for fun.
Oh, God.
I enjoy it. I like it, like the way it makes
so
my
now we
legs
need to
feel.
pick... it's between Eddie and John, right?
Yes.
Wow, so excited.
I know.
Well, this is after I shoot him to get the next spot, so we don't have to watch something crazy.
Yeah.
So we need to spin to see who is picking.
All right, here we go.
It's going to be John.
It's actually going to be Eddie.
Oh, really?
Eddie. Yep.
Oh, no way. Okay. Look at that.
So now we need to figure out what genre you'll be picking
It's
from.
been 7 movies since I got to pick, by the way.
Oh, man. All right. Here we go.
So many genres left. I know. Yeah.
That's what happens when you start a new season.
Oh no.
What is it?
Oh,
wild card.
Oh
yes.
See, you won a wild card last season, I think.
Yes. So I'm gonna go with Leon the Professional from 1994, starring Jean Reno and Natalie Portman and Gary Oldman. Gary Oldman's crazy ass.
Oh, I forgot Gary Oldman was in that.
Yeah, he is. He plays the main baddie.
So Leon's about Matilda, a 12-year-old girl, is reluctantly taken in by Leon, a professional assassin, after her family is murdered. An unusual relationship forms as she becomes his protege and learns the assassin's trade.
Who directs it? I forget the guy who directed it.
That would be Luc Besson.
Luc Besson. Yeah, Luc Besson.
Besson.
Which he did another movie back in the 80s called The Big Blue that I really like that no one's ever heard of. It's a free diving movie where a guy thinks he's a dolphin. And then there was the other Luc Besson movie that's really popular that... I don't know. He's a really... I like him as a director. He does a lot of really weird stuff.
He wrote The Fifth Element.
Oh, that's right. He wrote it. Did he direct it too? No, he just wrote it.
I'm not sure if he directed it or not. Yes.
He did direct it.
Yes, he did.
Yeah. That's another one that I like.
Which Gary Oldman hated. He said that's his worst role.
It is. Yes, I would agree. Yeah, it's an awful character.
I want the stone.
That's actually a pretty good impersonation there.
Ving Rhames, or it's not Ving Rhames, is it? It's what's his name from Friday? The big guy, the big black guy who plays the president. Yeah. I can't remember I can't remember the actor's real name, but he's damn it, what's his name in Friday? I know it starts with a D. It's not dope. It's not Dobo. We've been really bad this episode about getting.
Oh, you're
names,
talking about Tom Lister Jr.
Tom Lister Jr. There you go. Yeah.
So if you want to join with us, watch the Leon the Professional. Just go to justwatch.com, look it up. I'm seeing that it's streamable on Stars, DirecTV, and it's written for Amazon, Apple TV, Hulu, all that kind of cool stuff. So, so catch us next Saturday. We'll be reviewing Leon the Professional.
See ya.
Perfect. See ya.